Dave Parody of FinancialViz.com and ThinkOutsideTheSlide.com here. When you've done some analysis of your income or expense areas in your income and profit loss statement, and you want to present to the audience, maybe it's executives or board members, what's the largest item? Maybe it's a revenue segment or an expense item. I want to show you how you can use a color-focused bar chart to highlight that one item you want them to focus on. So here's typically what we have. We've done our in this case, we're analyzing expense areas. We've got our 5 different areas. We've got both dollars, and then we've extended our analysis to say what percent of the total do each of those areas represent. And so this is our analysis, which is great. But what we want to do is first need to prepare this data, get it ready for creating the graph. And when I do that, there's 2 things I'm going to do. First of all, I need to decide what units communicate the message that I need the executives to understand. So in this case, it's not the dollar value. Now the dollar value would be appropriate if it's the amounts I want them to focus on. But in this case, I'm using percentages because the message is what proportion of the total expenses to each of these 5 categories or areas represent. So decide first on what units you're going to use to communicate the message you want them to understand. And then the second thing is sort the data. So sort it largest to smallest because the important message here is about what is the largest area. So I prepare the data for the graph, and then I actually create the visual in Excel. So in this graph, a few things that I want to note here. First of all, you need to clean up the default graphs. The default graph has some settings that don't really work for our purposes here. I want to make sure that the order of the bars is largest to smallest, so you have to reverse that. There's the checkbox that does that. We can clean up things like getting rid of the title, the legend, the grid lines, clean up the axes, those sorts of things. It removes those things that are distracting for the audience. Then we add data labels. So instead of a measurement axis here, which is the x-axis in a bar chart, I add data labels so the audience knows the exact amount, the exact percentage in this case, and doesn't have to figure it out by relating it back to a measurement axis. And then finally, I want to format the bars so that the one bar that's the most important one stands out. So I want to make them wider so they have more presence in the graph. And the second thing is use color focus. So first I set all the bars to this muted gray color. And then I select that labor bar, that one bar that is most important, and change that fill color to a bold, a darker color so that it stands out. When the audience looks at it, immediately their eyes go to what is different, not what is the same, and that's what I want them to focus on. So summary, if you are communicating a message where you need to highlight that largest either revenue segment or expense item, then one of the visuals you should consider is a color-focused bar chart. And this is the example we showed today that allows the audience to immediately focus on that one area you want them to understand and listen to your message about. For more examples and information on how you can present the results of financial analysis or financial statements better, go to FinancialViz.com or ThinkOutsideTheSlide.com.